All right, I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News. I'm here with Aaron Smith, head of the SCI Record Books and Hunting Awards from SCI. Aaron, thanks again for coming on. I know we've spoken before. Um, Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Pleasure to be on.
Now, Aaron, how did you get into hunting?
Oh, wow. Actually, that's a pretty easy one. It was my father and my uncle took me out when I was, gosh, I think I was 4. Took me out on my first hunt with them. I just got to tag along, but fell in love with it. It was a pronghorn hunt up in Wyoming. That's where I'm from. Um, and then it just grew from there, rabbits and birds and ducks and stuff like that. And then by the time I was 10, I'd taken my first pronghorn and was a race from there, right? I fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with it. Anything outdoors, fishing, hunting, camping, just it was something I knew I was gonna love. So,
That's great. I'm pretty much the same. My uncle introduced me in my teens, and it just kind of grew from there. But how'd you get involved with Safari Club?
about close to 4 years ago now, I was working in a different industry, and I was, looking around for other stuff outside of, what I was doing and could get me more into the hunting industry. Um, and sure enough, there was a job posting for the record book as well as our guide and outfitters liaison, which I applied for both. But we hired Scott Talbot. Rest in peace, Scott. He's no longer with us, but a phenomenal man. Um, and now that's Everett Headley in that position. But um, we hired Scott for the guides and outfitters liaison, and then Mike Rogers and Laird and the powers that be at STI reached out to me to become the manager of the record book. Um, and I said goodbye to the old job immediately. It wasn't even, yeah, there was no second guessing it. As soon as
You
they said they
basically
were interested,
landed your dream job.
yeah, I mean, I think I put in my 2 weeks within, I would say less than 2 minutes of getting off the
Wow.
phone with Laird and Mike. Um, yeah, it was, and actually my first call wasn't with Laird. It was with Sarah and Mike. But yeah, within 2 minutes of that, I was, yeah, I put my 2 weeks in. I was done. I knew where I wanted to be.
So, what would you say is the most rewarding part of working with SCI?
You know, I think honestly the most rewarding part for me is knowing that everything we do as a department, as the record book department, in our role, right? But as a whole, everything we do is to raise money to deal with conservation projects, deal with advocacy around the world, right? It's not just here in the United States, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and know that we're playing one of the biggest roles, if not the biggest role, for hunters across the world to protect our rights and privileges to hunt. And I know that everything we do every day is going to fight that fight, right? Like everything I
Yeah.
do is to raise money to be able to do that, right? Um, and I love working with our members. I absolutely love working with our members. You build some really good friendships there. That's really rewarding as well. But I think knowing that everything we do is out, everything we do is allowing us as an organization to fight for everybody that's not a member or not. It doesn't matter. It's for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
So, record books. What exactly is it working with
The
the record books?
So the SCI record book, it's the largest big game record book in the world. We have over 217,000 entries in the record book, right? That does not count our photo entries, right? We have probably another 500,000 of those. Um,
Wow.
so, and it is, so they call it the gold standard, right? The encyclopedia of big game record book. It takes every large big game animal that we accept, right, across the world, and it puts them into categories, whether it be free range or estate. We accept both. That makes us very different from other record books.
Okay.
Um, we also, it's the entire world. We're not just North America or Europe or Africa, right? We're everywhere. So we are basically creating an encyclopedia for members to be able to look at, and they are able to take their hunting legacy and put it in our record book and have it stay there in perpetuity for their family to look at, friends to look at. Um, and something you and I were talking before we even started the podcast here was that we're allowing other agencies like Game and Fish or scientific um, research centers to use our record book
Hmm.
for research projects, for conservation projects, to understand the difference between maybe like um, actual, the harvest of an animal versus, green or dry hunt, like darting hunting.
Yeah.
Um, so our record book serves as a number of things. It's a record keeper, right? But it's also a piece for people to use for educational purposes
Uh-huh.
and for conservation purposes. So we manage all that, and that piece, the record book piece, then feeds into our World Hunting Awards, so that people have a roadmap. You and I are always planning our next hunt, right?
Sure.
So it's like, well, I've got tags here, here, and here, but that's kind of my normal, deer hunts, bear hunts, you know, things in North America here. But I really
So
want
there's
to go to like,
basically thousands of species categories, grand slams and uh, whatever it might be. Uh, Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. The importance of record book is to gauge and control the quality and growth of various herds, whether it's a bighorn sheep or a whitetail, by gauging the size and health of an animal or a herd, uh, allows us more scientific evidence of how we should um, put together our conservation efforts towards that particular herd geographically. Or am I on the right track here?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely use it for that. And I would say more um, like wildlife agencies use it for that, and other scientific research centers use it for that. We provide that data to them. Um,
Uh-huh.
but for the everyday member, um, yeah, it is kind of that in the field tool as well. As you know that when we go out and we look for a mature buck, right? Where an inexperienced hunter who maybe doesn't know as much might take that younger spike, and that particular deer doesn't get to spread its genes, and it might have
Uh,
phenomenal genes, right, and doesn't get to spread its genes, where you or I might go out and say, hey, we know what we're looking for. We want to take that 3+ year old buck because he's had a chance to spread his genes, right?
Hmm.
And we want to take a little bit more mature buck and let the younger ones grow. Um, so it also is that kind of in the field tool as well as, that the more educational tool, right?
Yeah, so it's more science based. The purpose behind it to gauge health and growth geographically and physically of specific species, more so than putting a gold star next to your checklist and ego.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really want to have, like I called it at the beginning, the encyclopedia of big game record books, right? We want to have the most robust record we can possibly have, which is why, another piece to that is why the record book entry, the actual measured entry, is so important to us. Yes, other people will put in photo entries of their hunts where it's just the photo and their name, and it goes
Mhm.
under their profile so they can log that, right? But the record book one, the measured entry, is extremely important so that we can continue to build that encyclopedia. And when game and fish agencies or scientific research centers come to us and need to get that information from us, stuff they're really being, counting on, they can actually get it as opposed to they're studying the same stuff that we had 10 years ago, right?
So, how does somebody actually become an official measurer? Are there qualifications or training that someone has to go through?
Yeah, so we have a we have two different types of measures. We have an official measure and a master measure. You have to become an official measurer first, and how you do that is you can do it two different ways. You can either attend a class, an actual class that we hold, which we do for chapters. We do at convention. We had our first digital um, official measuring class this year where you could attend via Zoom, which we're
Okay.
planning on continuing. And we send those invites out to members. If you're not a member and you're watching this, you can always call, SCI, and ask how you can get involved in that, and we can give you the information for that class. The other way you can do it is go on our website, go to the Get Involved tab, hover over measuring, and then you can order our kit, our measuring kit. It comes with your self-study guide inside of the kit. It has your manual, your test, and your answer sheet. You take that test, and as long as you get an 80% or above, you become an official measurer. Um, and it's in depth, right? It's well over 100 pages of manual. You have to know the
Wow.
forms, you have to know the manual, and we ask some trick questions in there, so we make sure that you're reading everything. Um,
Yeah.
and then you have to be an official measure for 1 year. After that 1 year period, then you can attend a master measuring course. That is a required in-person class. It is a full day. You're talking 8 to 10 hours, sometimes 12, depending on
Wow.
how big the class is. A lot of times, if they're going to take that long, we'll just roll them into the next day. But at that point, you have to measure 25 species, and it's a mix of horn, antlered, skulls, tusks, beards, right? So we do a large mix of animals. You have to measure those, and you have to come within 3% of our master measurer score. So Dwayne and Dwayne is our record book coordinator, and Dwayne and I measure those species prior to the course. So we have a score, and then you have to come in and come within 3% of our score to pass that course.
So, what is the importance of volunteer measurers?
Chris, I'm glad you asked that question. I can't stress this enough. Dwayne and I can't measure every animal on the planet that comes in
Yeah,
to the SCI
naturally.
record book, right? We need volunteers, right? And our volunteers, all of our measurers are volunteers, but we need more of them across the world. And it just allows for more people out there who would probably put their stuff into the record book if they knew where and how to get it measured. but a lot of
Okay.
times people live in rural places or they really don't know how to find a measurer. They haven't really heard anything. So we need more and more volunteers to be measurers so that we have a broader reach and we can reach these people that have, that they're on the fence of whether or not they want to put it into the record book just because
Yeah.
they're not sure how to get it measured. So the more measures we have, the more we're going to be able to reach everyone that would really like to be involved in the record book and put their stuff in. And I think that's one thing that, I want to touch on is it doesn't have to be a world record to go in the record book. Yes,
Sure.
there is a minimum, but our minimums are a lot lower than other record books. We want to invite as many people as we possibly can to put their entries into the record book. So ours is based on the lowest score ever sent in is your minimum, right? But that is developed over time.
Sure. So, what's the difference between a photo and the actual measure?
So a record book entry is going to be your measured entry. That's one that's actually scored by an official or SCI master measurer, and then the form is filled out, sent in to us, along with 3 field photos, and we put that into the record book. A photo entry is just a field photo and the photo entry form filled out, sent in. Now, where it differs again is the record book entry. If you are a member of SCI and you have put in a record book entry, you can view other members' record book entries.
Uh,
If you are a member of SCI and you sent in a record book entry, you can't view other members' photo entries. Photo entries are for that member only.
oh, okay. All right. So, getting on to uh, other topics, you have a new Legacy Award.
Yeah. So currently, right now, we have a program called the World Hunting Awards program, and we had this gap. So you start out at the trying to get your first pinnacle, then you have the first through fourth pinnacle, then you have the zenith, the crowning, then the World Hunting Award ring, and then the World Conservation and Hunting Award. And that's the top award that you could ever achieve at SCI. Well, between the crowning and the ring, we had this really big gap. And so we were noticing that members were getting discouraged because they thought, you know what, I will never make it to the ring. The crowning is going to be the farthest I ever go. Well, we want to keep people engaged and give them something to continue shooting for that is realistic, right? Because getting to the ring is really hard. It's not easy, and we're not going to make it easy because it is a
Well,
very
we don't
significant.
want everybody in there. It'll lose the value. It'll
Yeah,
devalue the award.
loses the value, loses the prestige, right? Like it's not something that not everybody's meant to go out there and do it. Just like not everybody's meant to go win a Super Bowl, right? Um,
Yeah, I'm
it's
not meant to be shooting record book animals. I'm a meat hunter. I go out for the pleasure and being out with friends and family. That's hunting to me. I'm not
yeah,
looking for the biggest and most impressive animal out there.
right.
So, it's not, these awards are not for everybody.
They are not for everybody. And what I would say is the awards aren't for everybody, but the record book is. Because you don't have to shoot the biggest and the baddest thing, right, to become a
Sure.
person who supports the record book and the mission of SCI. Because every net dollar that we make at the record book goes to support anti poaching, conservation, wildlife research, all of that stuff, advocacy, right? So, the record book is for everyone. The World Hunting Awards is I mean it could be for everyone, but you've got to look at it how it's going to pertain to you, right? Like how does it speak to you, right?
Sure.
For a lot of people, it just becomes a roadmap, and the awards are just an extra piece. But this new Legacy Award, it's actually really cool. It is going to be a filler between the crowning and the World Hunting Award ring, which is going to help our members stay engaged past a point where they thought, that's it, I'm done. I really can't, go any farther in the World Hunting Awards. And their support of the record book didn't really drop off, but their involvement of the record book and the record book dropped off. And we want to keep them involved because it's important to us, right? Having, again, like we said, having that information coming into the record book expands it and allows these agencies out there that are using our record book for scientific purposes and research purposes to continue to have new information so they can see the effects of hunting and conservation efforts on these different herds around the world, these different species around the world, right? And if we don't have new information coming in, then it gets stagnant and they can't regurgitate the same thing over and over again. They have to have new information.
So, what is the eligibility and requirements for the new Legacy Awards?
So, really what it is you have to be a member of SCI. You have to put in record book entries, and basically how it works is you're going to have to go through the World Hunting Awards program. So we have something called the SCI Field Journal, the Record Book Field Journal. That field journal is available on the website. You can look at it there, and it has the requirements for every award. The new Legacy Award, it's some higher level stuff. And to be honest, if I ran through everything with you here, we'd have to go into another 45 minutes of each requirement and how it works.
There are so many awards that SCI has.
Yeah.
From Youth Hunter to Sables to, they're endless. There's something for everybody.
There is. So the Legacy Award, like I said, it's going to be in between that crowning and the World Hunting Award ring. So I would just encourage viewers of this, if they're interested in hearing more about that, to go to the website, pull up the field journal, and look at the awards towards the back of the field journal, and they can run through everything. And we will release in our Safari magazine, our Safari Times, an article with all the new requirements and what the new award is going to look like. It's going to be really cool.
Nice. Well, what are the most popular awards that SCI offers?
In the World Hunting Awards, we I should say this. We have our record book plaques and like coins and stuff like that people get every day, right? So if you just went out and took a really good whitetail and you wanted to commemorate that, you would put it in, it scored well, you put it in, and even if it didn't score well, but you put it in the record book, you can get a photo plaque with your photo on it, the species, where you took it, the date you took it, and the score, and then what level it came out to. So we have a gold, silver, and a bronze level. So in the record book, gold is your top 1/3 of all animals, silver is your middle third of all animals, and your bronze is your bottom third of all animals in that specific species category, right? So if it was a Texas whitetail, right? Then it would be the top. If it was gold, it'd be the top 1/3 of any Texas whitetail ever taken that was put into our record book. So you can get those. You can get medallion plaques. You can get one that I really like it's called our Methuselah Award. And that Methuselah was named after like the oldest living man. It's like the oldest living tree. It's from the Bible. And it is a tribute to those old, beaten, hardcore warriors of each species that have lived a really long life, and they may have broomed horns or broken antlers or missing teeth or big scars on them. And those are the animals that we want to take from the herd, right? Because their genetics aren't getting any better at that point. They're not going to continue to spread really good genetics through the herd. So we want to take those animals. And so we have an award that if you take at least 5 Methuselah animals on 2 continents, you can get the Methuselah Award. If you just take one, you can get a Methuselah plaque. You can get a Methuselah coin. The coin, I actually happen to have one right here. It's pretty cool. So on the front, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is the Methuselah medal in honor of the ancient. It's got the Methuselah tree on it. And then on the back, you would that in that blank bar is where you would put your name, your species, the date, and you can order one of these and have it sent to you, or you to commemorate that hunt, or you can do a plaque or anything like that. Then the basic awards that we have, World Hunting Awards, is starts at the pinnacle, first pinnacle. So you have to achieve that. Takes a certain number of animals to get there, and then you move all the way up to the World Conservation and Hunting Award. And again, those are explained really well in our field journal.
Which award do you get most excited about? Is that the Methuselah Award, or is there another award?
I think the one I get most excited about is the first pinnacle, to be honest with you, because that's, most of our members can get there. And then once they achieve that, they go, hold on a second. Like, I think I can go farther. I know I want to keep hunting, right? They didn't just start off hunting because they wanted to reach the first pinnacle of achievement. They started off hunting because they loved it. But then they achieved that first pinnacle, and the next thing you know, they see a roadmap to new hunts and new adventures, right? And so I get really excited when I see somebody achieve that first pinnacle, because I know when they achieve it, they're going to sit down and go, hey, I'm going to keep hunting. I can do more, right? I can achieve more.
I'm not
and
that
now
far
I've got
off from this one. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping if I clicked my camera off there, that blurriness would go away, but whatever.
Nah, it's all right. So for me, I think the award that I get most excited about is the Youth Hunter Award, because that's the future of our sport. That's the future of SCI, and that's what's going to keep the legacy going.
Yeah. So the Youth Hunter Award is a lifetime achievement award that's handled by the Awards and Recognition Committee. There's not a ton that comes from the record book in that specific piece, but that going forward, they may make some changes where there are some requirements for the youth hunters to actually have entries into the record book. They want to see that involvement and actually have it documented. So that could come here in the next year or two. But you're right, Chris. I love the Youth Hunter, and we are actually talking about doing a new Youth Award too in the record book. That's something that is on the table and the committee's talking about. So we definitely want to increase involvement with the youth out there. They're the future, right? If we don't get them involved, then we're not doing our job. So.
Well, I assume that a lot of these awards are collected at the convention in Nashville.
Yes, yeah. So the World Hunting Awards, you would wind up on stage at an event called Night of the Hunter, and that's on Thursday night. Last year it was held at the Ryman, which is awesome, right?
Yep.
And it was a great event. I'm sorry?
I was at the Ryman last year.
Right, and it was a really cool event. So everybody that has won the larger awards, so from the 4th pinnacle to the World Conservation and Hunting Award, get up on stage, along with 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards. The Professional Hunter of the Year, which is an international professional hunter and a North American professional hunter, and then the International Hunter of the Year, which is also a really cool award. And that is solely based on record book entries. You cannot get that award any other way. It is a point system, and it is based off of how you hunt and what you hunt. So the more
Uh-huh.
difficult the species and the more difficult the method of take, the higher point total you receive.
So if you're like Tim Wells hunting with a spear, that kind of elevates you up the chart a little bit.
Yeah, except for we don't take spears. We don't accept spears as a method of take in our record book at this time. Um, but like if you hunt with a bow, right? That
Yep.
bow take is worth more than a rifle, right? A
Sure.
muzzle loader is worth more than a rifle. So a rifle would be your base point, right? Your base number, and then anything that's more difficult than that gets a higher total.
Yep. The degree of difficulty gets you a little closer. And it could be a compound or a longbow. There's a big difference there as well.
Correct, correct. Now we don't differentiate between like a traditional bow and a compound bow. It's archery is archery, as far as the record book entries are concerned.
Hmm.
Um, but as an archer myself, yes. I mean, anybody who's taken stuff like Fred Bear with a bear bow, right, is yeah, that's a bad son of a gun right there, right?
Yeah,
That's
well, he was a trailblazer. He got us where we are.
yeah, yeah. And I run a compound bow, but I also know that, you know, my best friend is a rifle hunter and only a rifle hunter. And if I go out and take a Coues whitetail, I know that it was a lot harder for me to take that Coues than it was for him to take that Coues with a rifle.
Yep.
So
Hell, I'd hunt with a slingshot if I could.
heck yeah, I hunt rabbits with one, but that's that's pretty cool, right? But
Yep.
it's and they've got some pretty sweet slingshots now.
Yeah,
But
they really
again,
do.
not a category we have in the record book.
Are there any plans to bring in like air guns or crossbows or things of that nature?
Those are actually accepted right now. Yes. So air gun has its own category. Crossbow is also in there. And yeah, so that's something we're trying to do too, is reach out to people and let them know that we have other categories, but if you're a person like, say Keith Warren, he hunts a lot of stuff with an air gun.
Yeah.
And we're we really want to promote those people that hunt with air guns to put in entries because we really need to build that category up because just not a lot of people are using that. That's not a method of take that is um, very like it's not extremely popular by any means yet. But it is really cool and it is difficult because you have a very limited range on that air
Yeah.
rifle. So
Well, like anything else, takes time to catch on, and once it does, it becomes a mainstay.
yep, yep. And it's crossbows as well, right? In a lot of states, I know, like in Arizona, right, you have to have a certain permit to use a crossbow
Yeah.
instead of a bow during archery season, right? But crossbows catching on, across the
I
country. There was
love
a
that crossbow.
podcast about
It's
that.
it's exciting. It's still bow hunting, but you just gain more distance out of it. And I know there's a lot of schools of thought on it, but I love hunting with a crossbow.
Yep. And for me, like I'm kind of I want to hunt with a bow, right? But I think that's a piece that us as hunters need to be better at is schools
Being
of thought can
acceptance.
be different. Yeah, schools of thought can be different, right? But
Yeah.
the support of one another's choices needs to be there, right? If somebody wants to hunt with a rifle, support them, right?
Well,
There's no
hunters
reason to
are
bag
our
on.
own worst enemies, Aaron. You
Yeah,
know, You got rifle hunters against bow hunters against crossbow hunters. Who cares?
Yep.
Hunt the way you feel most comfortable. Just get out there and do it.
A hundred
Yeah,
percent. 100%. I think we just need to support each other um, all around, right? And
yeah.
yes, I give my buddies a hard time, right? I tell them all the time, like, "Oh, did you take that with a bow?" And they say, "No." I'd be like, "It's a lot cooler if you did, right?" But I'm giving them a hard time, but I support,
That's
like,
friendly ribbing. That's what guys do, you know.
yeah. But my best friend is a rifle hunter. He is not going to hunt with a bow. He just doesn't want to, right? I am on every hunt with him. I want to go out there and support him and help him in any way I can. And his daughter's just now starting off, and she she's chosen to go the route of a rifle so far. And I'm going to be on every one of her hunts. I'm going to support her in every way I can. Like it's what we should
Well,
be doing.
at the end of the day, when you shoot an animal and you have to track it, and you got to call a friend to help you, it doesn't matter if he's a bow hunter, crossbow hunter, or rifle hunter. As long as he knows how to track and help you get that animal, they don't care at that point.
Yeah, no, and it should never matter. It really shouldn't. We are supposed to support each other because really, when it comes down to it, Chris, we all want to keep our rights and privileges as hunters, right?
100%.
And if we don't support each other, then it's easier for those that don't want us to keep these rights and privileges to, you know, come in and separate us and create division, and it's easier for them to get their way. If we are all united and say, look, if you hunt with a crossbow, you hunt with a crossbow. If you hunt with a handgun, you hunt with a handgun. I don't care what you hunt with. I support you. You're getting out there. You're involved in conservation efforts. You're involved in hunting. I'm with you, man.
Well, I've taken animals with a rifle. I've taken them with a bow, a crossbow, a knife. I've taken them from a helicopter. It don't matter.
Mm.
Just do it.
Yep. Just get out there, have fun, enjoy it, and again, yeah, I think you and I talked about this on our previous conversation, our previous podcast. Is get out there and enjoy it. Create those memories. Create those experiences. There's so many times where I sit around and I hear people, telling a story, and you can envision it, you can see it because you've been a part of it. But then you look at some of the other people at the table that have never done it, and they're just like, "What? You did what? Like, how does that even work?" Right? They don't get it. They don't understand it, and it's like, man, just look. Even if you're not a hunter, right? And get out there, go go be involved in a hunt. Go see what it's about. Go be part of it because there's nothing about it that isn't cool. Like there's nothing about it, right?
I agree.
Every piece of it is. There's so many times where I go out and I don't harvest something, and I come home with a way bigger smile on my face than I would have if I just went, you know, out shopping with the wife for a weekend, right? It's
Yeah.
it 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 just it feels like for me it's I had a good friend who said every man needs to sharpen his axe, and I when he said it I looked at him and I was like, what are you talking about? He said we all sharpen our axe in a different way. He's like, when I come out here and I get to go hunt and do these things and then I go back to the real world, I'm much sharper, right? I handle my day-to-day tasks better, cleaner because my mind is refreshed and my soul is refreshed. And for a lot of us, hunting and getting outdoors is how we do that.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. As usual, go to safariclub.org and check out the record books. If you're not a member of Safari Club, why? You should be, because Safari Club is the ones fighting for your right to hunt. So become a member today. And if you're in the metropolitan area in September, come to the Boots, Buckles, and Backstraps banquet in support of Safari Club International. You're going to have a great time. Go to AmericanOutdoorNews.com. You can buy tickets today.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.